Today I'm going to show you how I made this super cute book cover. I'm using mine as a Bible cover. This is my own pattern that I came up with, and you will be able to use any size book or Bible using this tutorial. I love how customizable this is because once you've made the base, you can put any design on the front. So if you don't like the bows, you could do clouds, flowers, hearts, cherries, or whatever you would like. You'll need your book that you want to cover, yarn, I'm using a size 4 medium worsted weight, your hook, mine is a 5mm, a yarn needle, and some scissors. We're going to start by making a chain the same height as your book. Make a slip knot. To do this, I basically grab the yarn with my finger, twist it around, grab the working yarn, and pull up. Insert your hook and pull the yarn tight. To make your starting chain, you'll just grab your working yarn with your hook and pull it through the loop. I like to keep a little bit of tension on my working yarn and keep my stitches nice and loose. Keep doing this until your chain is as long as the height of your book. Now we're going to double crochet into the second loop from the hook. So there's the first loop and then there is the second. Yarn over, insert your hook, grab your yarn and pull it through. Now you have 3 loops. Yarn over and pull it through 2 loops. Now you have 2, yarn over and pull it through your last 2 loops, and that is a double crochet. Now you're going to do the exact same thing in the very next chain space, which is right here. Yarn over, insert your hook, grab your yarn and pull it through, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through your last 2 loops. Continue to work 1 double crochet in each chain space until you reach the very end of your chain. We are almost to the end of the row. We only have 2 spaces left, so let's go ahead and double crochet into the last 2 spaces. And here is how it should line up with your book so far. Now that we are at the end of our row, we are going to chain 2 and then turn our work. I like to double crochet right into this very first stitch that you see right here. Some people skip that one, but we're going to go ahead and double crochet into it. So go ahead and yarn over, insert your hook, grab your yarn, pull it through, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops again. And there's your first double crochet for this row. Continue working 1 double crochet in each stitch, and I'll meet you at the end of the row to show you where to end the row and turn your work. We are now at the end of the row. There's 3 stitches left. As you can see, here's the first one, here's the second one, and the last one. So let's go ahead and do a double crochet into each of those 3 stitches. Go ahead and chain 2 and then turn your work. Now you're going to repeat the same thing from the last row that you just did in this row and the next several rows until your work is as wide as your book. Stop once you get to the spine because we're going to change it up a little for that part. So just continue to work one double crochet in each stitch across and chain 2 at the end of your rows until you get to the spine, and I'll meet you there. As you can see, my work is now as wide as my Bible, so now it's time to work on the spine. For the next row, we're just going to change the double crochets to half double crochets. So you only need to chain 1 for this and then turn your work. Again, we're just going to half double crochet right into that very first stitch, as you can see right here. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull the yarn through, and now this time, instead of just pulling through the first 2 loops, pull through all 3 loops, and that is how you do a half double crochet. Continue to work 1 half double crochet in each stitch across the row, and then at the end of the row, chain 1 and turn your work. Repeat this until you have enough rows to cover the spine of your book. Once you have enough rows to cover your spine, this is what your work should look like. For the back of the book, you're just going to repeat the same exact thing that you did for the front of the book. So count however many rows of double crochets you have. Mine is 11. So now I'm just going to chain 2 and then do 11 rows of double crochets. So picking up where we left off, we'll chain 2 and turn our work. Double crochet into that first stitch and every stitch across. Don't forget to get that last stitch at the very end of the row. It can be a little bit hidden sometimes. Chain 2 and turn your work and keep repeating this until you have enough rows to cover the back of your book. Now we're going to attach the other color so that we can do the border around it. I'm going to use pink, so I'm just going to attach my pink yarn. We're going to do a slip stitch border, so insert your hook into the corner and pull the yarn through. And to do a slip stitch, you're basically just going to insert your hook again, pull the yarn, and then slip it through your little loop. When working on the side of your double crochets, you're just going to have to find places to stick your hook to make your slip stitch because there's not going to be those perfect little stitches to go off of. So just insert your hook wherever you think is best, but try to make them evenly spaced. I typically will do about 2 slip stitches per double crochet. Continue to slip stitch all the way around the rectangle until you get back to the beginning point where you first started. Then you can go ahead and cut your yarn and pull it tight. It's important to note that you'll want to keep your slip stitches pretty loose during this because we're going to be working in them later on, and it's going to make it much easier if they're pretty loose. Flip your work over. The next step is to crochet the little pockets on the sides so that your book covers can slip inside for it to stay on. You're going to be working on the inside of the book cover. These pink loops are the back side of the slip stitches that you did earlier. That's why we needed to keep them loose, because this is the stitch that we're going to be inserting our hook into to work the first row of the book pockets. Since these little loose ends are just going to be inside the corner of the pocket, I'm not even going to bother weaving them in. I'm just going to tie them in a knot and then cut them short because nobody's going to see them. If you'd rather not do that, then just grab your yarn needle and weave it in like so. I'm going to switch to a little bit of a smaller hook now for this next part, just because working into the back of those slip stitches is kind of tight. So if you have a smaller hook, it will make it a little bit easier. So working on the inside of your work, go ahead and insert your hook into that furthest corner space that you can of the border, and then reattach your yarn. Once your yarn is attached, go ahead and chain two, and we're going to be working double crochets across here. So you're going to double crochet into the very next pink stitch. As you can see, it can be a little bit of a struggle, but just shove your hook in there. That's why I swapped to a smaller sized hook. But just keep doing a double crochet along each stitch across. Okay, and here is the last space in this row. Here's what your work should look like so far once you lay it flat. Chain two, turn your work, and go ahead and do another row of your double crochets. I recommend doing 4 total rows minimum for your book pockets, but you can totally change this to more or less however you would like to do it. Just make sure that you have enough rows so that when you open up your book, it doesn't slide out of the flaps. Here's what it looks like after 4 rows of double crochet. Now we just need to sew the edges so that it's a nice little pocket. Once you finish sewing this side, just make sure to sew the other side shut and then repeat the whole process on the other end of the book cover for your second flap. You'll want to weave your ends in at this point as well. Here is the first finished flap. And now just repeat this same process on the other side. You could just finish the project and be done with it here, but I'm of course going to add some bows to mine. So if you would like to know how to make the bows, I'm going to show you that part next. To make a bow, make a slip knot and then chain 21. Next, you're going to slip stitch in the back bumps of your chain. So if you turn your work over like this, you'll be able to see the little back bumps. So these are what you're going to be sticking your hook into and doing slip stitches all the way across. You'll have a total of 20. If you hold the chain on its side, you'll really be able to see those back bumps a lot more clearly. Keep slip stitching all the way across until you've reached the end of your chain. Once you've reached the end of the row, chain one, cut your yarn, and then pull it tight to secure it. I like to do a long tail so that I can use that to tie it onto the book. Now you want to attach your yarn needle to one of the ends. Insert the needle into the other end of your little string so that you can make a circle with it. So just sew those two ends together and then tie it. Now you can set that piece to the side and grab your working yarn again, make a slip knot, and then chain 13. Go ahead and slip stitch into those back bumps again, just like last time, and you'll have 12 total slip stitches for this one. At the end of the row, chain one, leave a long tail, and cut your yarn. Attach your yarn needle to one of the ends. Weave your needle in and out of your stitches until you've reached the middle of your chain. Do this with both of your strings so that they're both in the middle. Now you're going to take your circle and squish it, and then take the other piece and put it right below your circle so that it just kind of looks like how a bow would. And then you can take your strings and wrap them around both of those pieces to start forming that little center piece on the bow. Wrap the strings in opposite directions so that once it's all wrapped up, you can tie it in the back to secure it. And here you have a cute little bow, and you have long enough strings on the back so that you can tie it onto your book cover. Once you know how you want to arrange your bows on it, you can one by one just pull the strings through the back of the cover. I use a crochet hook to help me pull them through, and then you can just tie them to secure them. Once all of your bows are attached, just go ahead and either weave all of your ends in or just snip them. I prefer to just snip them since nobody's going to see them, and I hate weaving in my ends. I ended up adding one more bow onto the spine of the book just because I thought that would be really cute. But once you're all finished applying your bows, you are all finished. If you enjoyed this video, I will be making more crochet tutorials, so make sure you subscribe to my channel. But thank you guys all for watching, and I'll look forward to seeing you all in my next video. Bye!